Abby, do you want to introduce yourself first, and then I'll introduce myself and launch the slides?
Sure. I'm Abigail Clarke-Sather. I am an assistant professor in mechanical and industrial engineering at University of Minnesota Duluth. Um, and my work really has to do with user-centered design.
Great. And I am Dr. Lindsay Naylor, and I am also assistant professor. I am professor of human geography in the Department of Geography and Spatial Sciences at the University of Delaware. And as a geographer, I'm interested in how people experience place. And we are, I'm going to launch our slideshow now. Hopefully the timings work, keep us honest. I also just wanted to say thank you so very much, Erin, for seeing that article and inviting us to come and speak with you today. It was really exciting to get that email and to have our work noticed. I'm excited to chat more with everybody in the Q&A. So as you can see, we might look like sort of a mismatched set of scholars, but we'll explain that in the course of this presentation. Again, I'm a human geographer, and so one of the things that drew me into this was thinking about how people were experiencing the NICU and what that space was like. And so in this case, we wrote this paper to expand the way that we think about care in NICU settings. Abby?
Sure. So I think the focus here is like working on how do we understand how people experience the NICU environment. So with this, one of the kind of ideas behind user-centered design is that by understanding how people kind of experience their needs, then that can lead to better design of systems, of processes, of products. And so when people have like an unmet need, and for example, like a more extreme situation like the NICU is as compared to mothers that maybe are home with their babies, then we can use the feedback from those folks to kind of understand what problems that they're facing and then use that to push designs that will have implications for these typical users as well. So kind of the idea here, this is the theory behind what's called lead user design.
And this is our project team, which I think Abby was going to speak about a little bit more because we were
Sure.
interested in medical care, but also other forms of care.
Right. So the kind of idea behind the whole thing is that if we understand what people want, which is kind of Lindsay's expertise, and if we can talk to them and use social science techniques that are valid, then we can translate that into design improvements. And so that's where Kelly Cobb, who's at University of Delaware in the fashion department, can focus that on wearables and garments, and I can focus that on any of the technical aspects, whether it's tracking kangaroo care duration. But first, we have to really understand what's going on in that environment, which is kind of shown in this picture here of who are those end users and who are the frontline workers that are involved in the care that's happening. And then that can lead us to figure out what aspects of design are problematic, especially for kangaroo care.
Yeah, and so we wanted to really figure out like how are people experiencing care? What kind of forms does that care take? Like what are all of the concerns that we need to be thinking about in this space? And so we're now at the end of the second phase of this project, which is now really headed into product design phase. So we published this paper that you all read to show how a social science perspective of the same data sort of expands our understandings. And so we started with a survey actually back in 2015, and we had over 300 respondents talking about their different experiences of NICU care across the United States, and that helped us drive our thinking for the research questions that we actually brought to the NICU. And so we've interviewed 30 birth mothers, we've interviewed over 30 hospital staff, and we've done a focus group, and now we're really thinking about the design-related work and product design. And so all of this has really led to what Abby's going to talk about, or no, what I'm going to talk about next, which is about our findings. So in our paper, we talk about how care is provided by a team, right? And that's something that includes many people. And when we think about the NICU, we tend to think about medical care, or cares, as some of you may call them. So kangaroo care, we think about what are the barriers to kangaroo care. We know that there are medical care that needs to happen. We know that baby is attached to multiple things that are providing life-saving support. But what we found was that it takes a team to provide this care, and that to some degree that there is disagreement between parents and staff, as well as among staff, with who can provide that care and when it can be provided. And in particular, there were some nurses on staff that were withholding opportunities to provide care because of the medical care that was taking place, because baby needed to, stay, asleep or warm or attached to particular leads. And so there were some concerns about safety, which leads us to thinking about our design. Which should be coming up in just a second. And maybe tell. There we
And
go.
obviously you're aware it's complicated. It's very complicated, all the coordination between everyone. So, some of the understandings that we came from talking with mothers and from the survey with mothers, and the talking with nurses and we also talked with respiratory therapists and doctors and physical and occupational therapists. So we talked with anybody that's in the NICU kind of supporting things. So moms can be uncomfortable with exposing skin in the NICU. And so we're trying to kind of promote these behaviors that are shown to have improved health outcomes by understanding all of the people intertwined working together and how we can support everyone to support these important behaviors.
Right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can have a chat.